Hey kids, want to follow us on social media? Like the What Do We Know Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at WDWK Podcast. Email us at WDWKpodcast@gmail.com or find us at our home on the interwebs, WDWKpodcast.com.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone, I'm like,
Wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
yeah.
Go.
But therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I still need my time.
Man, I'm such an ass.
For sure.
Only the best.
The typical line.
I'm not really doing this for the money. Unless there's a lot of money in there, and then I was like, give me my share.
I didn't buy that.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Don't let your wife see this.
Facebook annoys the hell out of me.
Classy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's ridiculously easy when you put your mind to it.
You'll need it when you see the student loans.
I can see that.
Let me say a couple things.
News, yeah, news.
Kind of commented on that to both of you before.
Guys I play with.
Guys who play with hot water firm days.
Hot just on my crotch.
Good times. Wow.
Vetoed.
By the way, are we recording?
Hi everyone, this is Mark.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Jeff, and you're listening to What Do We Know?
So I started playing a new video game, and I don't play very many video games, so that of itself is kind of interesting.
What system did you play it on?
PC.
Okay.
It's called DayZ. Have you guys heard of it?
I have definitely heard of that. A lot of people.
Oh, I haven't.
Yeah, a lot of people I play video games with online do a lot of DayZ stuff. I've never personally played it, but
it's pretty interesting. It's in alpha right now. So going into it, you have to know that.
Dude, alpha games are the best games to get into, though, because not only do you get them usually when they're cheap, but you get to watch them develop, and you can actually, it's the best way to get to know the creators of a game, because if you actually like write them emails and stuff, they're usually pretty responsive because they want feedback on their game.
Yep. Yeah, you can influence kind of the direction it goes, things. So, Mark, for you that hasn't heard about it, and for anybody listening who doesn't know what it is, it's essentially like in the style of like The Walking Dead, where you're just this person who you wake up in the middle of nowhere and all you got is like a t-shirt and, you know, a pair of pants and nothing else, and the world is overrun by zombies.
Is it one of those, what do you call those games where if you die, you're permanently dead, or until you...
Yes, it is.
It's
which
a
is what
roguelike.
makes it interesting and kind of a pain in the butt, because if you run around and you assemble all this stuff and get guns and, you know, whatever, and somebody just snipes you from a rooftop somewhere, you have to start all over.
Now, how long is this game?
As far as like
if it's a one death game, is it supposed to be built up over, like, you could play it for months if you do it right, or is there like
it's a
an ending
multiplayer online game.
Okay.
So I guess you could probably go on forever if you, well, maybe not forever, but if you hook up, you know, and meet people throughout the game and kind of form like groups, I'm sure it could last a long time. Now, I don't even know that they really have an end game on this yet. I am just, literally, I bought it yesterday. So I'm just starting out. I finally got my first gun, like, last night, which is pretty exciting. Because now I'm not quite so vulnerable.
How many times did you die before you got the gun?
Oh, like 8.
Is it really easy to die, or?
Yeah, it is. Well, I shouldn't even say that. When you get attacked by zombies, which I have many, many times, you start bleeding. And I think at some point you bleed out. Now, I've never made it that long because it takes a long time. Normally I get tired of bleeding all over the place and attracting more zombies that I just run into zombies and kill myself.
I'm sorry. This is Day and then the letter Z.
Yes.
Not like DayZ, like the flower.
Mark's like,
Correct.
what kind of flower game is about
Yeah,
zombies
what kind
here?
of zombies? No, I know about DayZ. I know because basically sometimes you see YouTube videos and people will like point their gun at a person and tell them to stop running, and they'll actually stop running because it's, I guess, easy to be killed by someone.
Correct.
And then you can sometimes make them do stuff like answer questions or give you ammo.
You can hold people hostage. Now, I'm not sure. Like I've seen this in, like you said, some of the YouTube videos. I'm not sure. Like if someone were to hold me hostage, or you know, capture me or whatever, I'm not sure what the benefit of just giving up all my stuff would be to just letting them kill me. You know, trying to run away, because you're starting over either way if they take all your stuff.
If they kill you, do they get your stuff?
Yes.
So there is incentive to actually kill other players on here.
Yes,
So
but
you drop
there
your
is a
stuff.
way, like I say, to surrender to other players too. And again, from what I've seen, when you surrender, they're just taking all your stuff anyway. So I don't really get the benefit from one to the other.
Got to take a few swings, at least weaken them a little bit before you go out. Man.
That's what I'm saying.
Every
you
man
know?
for himself. You can't
Especially
be...
now that I got a gun. If somebody draws on me, I'm shooting back.
Does your character like level up at all? Like have more stamina or more life later on, or is it all just equipment?
It's all just equipment at this point. Now, again, this is alpha. I don't know where they're gonna, you know, take that. The map is huge. I still, like I said, I think I've started out like 8 different times. Between the size of the map and this is kind of a downfall. A lot of the houses, like there's, you know, 8 or 10 different styles of houses that you can go into, and then they're all the same after that.
Right.
But whenever I start, I have no idea where I'm at on the map ever. There's all these, you know, random cities throughout this big map. And I actually, the character I'm playing right now, that's the farthest I've ever got, he has a map, but it's just a paper map. So it's not like it shows you where you are. So even though I have a map, I have no clue where I'm at on the map. So
It's not a GPS. It's like you're going old school.
Right.
Yeah. The same thing happens to me in Japan when before I got my Garmin here. I would look at my Japanese map.
He had a paper map. Zombies attacked
I look at a
him.
paper
The
map,
Garmin tells him where they're at.
And everything's written in kanji. So I'd be like, so I could read the map. I could look at it and say, yes, there's a road here, there's a road there, but
You're like comparing symbols when you come up to a road. You're like,
to that, yeah. In comparison, yeah. I'm just one of those people who can't read a map in Japan because everything's written in Japanese.
Now, I got to ask you about having the Garmin now. Do you feel like you know your way around Japan, or do you only know the routes you normally take because the map, like, you don't need to know anything because you have a GPS? Because I found that I lived in D.C. now for like 5 years, and I can't find my way to half the things that I should because I've always used my GPS to get places for the first time and then keep going back on that route. And then I realized that I really don't know my way around anywhere because I'm like so based on the GPS to get me places. Do you find that as a problem?
Well, it depends. Usually for the first time, I rely solely on the GPS. But unlike my wife, I try to pay attention to where I'm going. So I could usually, I could usually have a general idea of where I am. So after 2 or 3 times, I could probably do it without the GPS. But my wife, when she was driving the whole time before I got my driver's license, we could go to the same place 15, 30 times, and she'll rely on the Garmin to take us there.
I sometimes fall into that trap. Actually, my girlfriend's really good at getting directions and getting herself around everywhere. She can just she'll look at the Google map, just knowing, like, luckily having you are here, so we know where we start, and she'll look at where we have to go and be like, okay, I know how to get there, put it away, and just weave her way. Oh, this road's blocked? Okay, let's zip around here. And I'm just like, I don't know where we're at anymore. I was kind of along for the ride. And then half the time she'll be like, come meet us out for when I get out of work at this happy hour. It's at this bar. It's at the corner of these 2 streets. And I'm like, okay. I better go look that up online, how to get there, because I really don't know. Like, and it sounds so dumb because DC is based on, it's not a grid system like a lot of people think. It's like a wheel and spoke system, so there's still, everything isn't in a perfect grid, but there is a way to get around pretty much on the gridded side of things.
Do you have an iPhone?
No, but I have Google Maps on my phone, so I use that
Google
quite a
Maps,
bit.
I use that a lot when I don't know where I'm going. I just type in the name of it, and it, charts your route right for you on the phone.
I mean, it works out great, except for the fact that there's so many one-way streets in DC. There's some streets that actually change who can drive on them during what times. You can't make left turns during so many times that it'll get you a basic idea of how to get to a place, but it won't give you the straight up, like, this is exactly what you have to do based on this time of day. So, and then you're dealing with DC traffic, and you get really annoyed because then you're like, I want to get off of this road, but if I turn off, am I able to actually get to where I'm going anymore? Because I'm not sure if that's a one-way street or if this is a one-way street, so it gets really...
It's pretty appropriate that it's confusing, and you're in DC, where so is Congress.
My sister-in-law lives there, and she says that one of the really frustrating things with DC is you can see where you want to go,
and you
just can't get there.
Yep.
It's like,
well, amazingly, so DC, it's very strange for those who don't know about DC. It is actually like there's the numbered streets, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, in each quadrant. There's like northwest, northeast, southwest, southeast. So they start over basically from the Capitol building as branch out in the different quadrants of DC. Those streets, and then there's the alphabet streets, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way on up. And then when you get to the end of those, you actually get to alphabetical streets, one-syllable words. Then when you get to the end of those, you get to alphabetical streets, two-syllable words. Then you get to three-syllable words. It kind of branches out and builds like that. But it still doesn't necessarily make it any easier to get to where you're going. It gives you just a base idea of where you're at. And then when you're trying to go, man, I was going to go somewhere with this exactly, and I forgot. I forgot where I was trying to go by trying to explain this. But it definitely gets confusing, especially going around the waterfront areas, because it's no longer like straight roads. You have to turn off at things. Roads end, roads magically start again, and it's traffic circles everywhere, and they're giant traffic circles. Like, Mike, I know where you live. And they've built traffic circles
all over the place.
But they built those little small ones to just try to slow people down. Whereas here in DC, there's large ones that have like 3 lanes on the inside, and then 8 different ways you can get out of them to get to different major roads. But what do you think about those ones where you live with the 3 like in a row? Isn't there an intersection right by you where there's 3 in a row?
Yeah, there's 3 right in a row. Yeah. In 20 years, they'll be super convenient, and they will free the flow of traffic. But it's pretty much like anything else in the world. Usually when you first have an innovation, it's not the best. They got to work the bugs out, like DayZ. They're in alpha and they're working the bugs out. Well, that's what these traffic circles are. In a perfect world, when 98% of drivers on the roundabouts know how to use them, they will be fast and efficient. But right now, 40% of drivers know what they are. And therefore, you got people driving backwards, and it's crazy.
Well, because my question is, like, do you think that people will actually start using roundabouts more often, or do you think it will be like the metric system? Yeah, in theory, it's better, but we've been teaching the metric system for since I was in school, and the U.S. hasn't really adopted that system except for like maybe scientists.
I think that's just stubbornness, though, because the metric system is by far better because everything is standardized. You can easily go, it's all in base 10, and everybody else uses it to standardize on something, whereas we're just dumb for not switching over to the metric system. Sorry for anybody out there who's like attached to our messed up way of thinking, but metric system is really what we should be going to.
We're all in agreement on that.
I do think the metric system is better, and I've been living in Japan for like 4 or 5 years, and all they use is the metric system, and for the life of me, I cannot get Celsius down. I do not know if it's 27 degrees, Celsius or 37 degrees Celsius.
37 degrees Celsius is
One
body
might kill me.
temperature. It's 98.6. I know that because we use Celsius and temperatures at the hospital. So 37 is your standard 98.6. So that's a good base to know.
37, okay.
So yes, 37's hot.
But
27 not as hot.
But 32 would be less hot.
It
but
would
is
be
that
less than
cold?
37.
32, yes,
Mark,
less
Mark,
hot than 37.
Mark, it's 33
Less and more doesn't
Celsius out.
switch.
Yeah, want to go swimming? I wouldn't know if I would or won't.
Well, and Mark, you got to be able to think about it like that, isn't it? 0 degrees is freezing in Celsius, and 100 is boiling water, right?
Well, yeah.
I mean, you got your base window, your base range.
I understand boiling water, but like
It's 212 degrees Fahrenheit, by the way.
There's a lot of degrees between. Oh, it's nice out, and it's burning my skin.
That is true. You are correct. There's a lot of degrees between.
Because there's like, is 40 degrees something that would kill me if it was 40 degrees Celsius out?
I mean,
because I know if it's 110 out, that's pretty hot for Fahrenheit.
And if it's like 6 degrees, are you going to be quite freezing yet, or is Kevin Bacon just going to show up? I mean, I don't know. So metric system, yeah. I think we all want the metric system, but I think the metric system to Mark is like me with roads. Like it's pretty obvious, but you just don't understand it yet. Like you need your metric GPS to get through and know what temperature it is outside.
You're complaining about roundabouts, but you should see some of the roads here in Japan. It's really tough to drive. Our friend Matt, he would probably be dead by now because seriously, this is the reason why. Our friend Matt, he's not a very good driver, but every day to get to work, I have to go 6 or 7 blocks on these 1-lane roads that are used as 2-lane roads. Like there's only certain areas where you can pull over on the shoulder and you try to get people to pass you by, but sometimes people are sort of jackasses and they don't pull over where they're supposed to. So you're basically trying to get 2 cars to pass in a single lane road, which wouldn't be so bad, but we don't have shoulders. We have death traps. Basically, because, and I'm not joking, like, because...
There's a sign. It says "Death Trap" right there. Right?
It is because so much of the area that I live in is next to rice paddies. That they have these huge drainage systems, so your car could basically fall into it, or you could fall into a rice paddy, and it's like maybe 2 or 3 foot drop between the road and the edge that you're going to fall into. And sometimes way more than that. So you could actually lose your car into the drainage ditch next to the road that you're driving on a 2-lane road.
Now, do you drive? Do you drive much out there?
Yeah, I drive every day now that I have to drive to each school that I work at. So, and every single day I have to go to get to the main road to pull out on my subdivision. There's really a 7-way intersection with the main road and a crosswalk where all the kids walk by like the same time I leave for work. So I'm having to look at a mirror to see the odd angle so the cars that are coming the same direction that I'm facing won't hit me as I make basically a 90-degree U-turn to get onto the main road while looking at all the other roads to make sure no cars are coming, and that I won't hit a kid just walking in a random direction.
You know what it sounds like you need, Mark?
A roundabout?
A roundabout.
Yeah, I was just saying.
And that's my roundabout way of saying that's not so bad.
So those roundabouts I remember in Brighton, because I knew somebody else who lived out in that area, Mike, when they had just put the ones in by... There's the mall out there, and I don't remember which mall it is. Or
Green Oak Plaza.
Is that what it is? And he said that the statistics, I don't know how true this is, but you might be able to tell me if you know this or if it just sounds about right. He said the statistics showed that they put these in to stop speeding. And he said it stopped speeding by like 80% or something like that, whereas it increased traffic accidents by 3,000% in the first 2 weeks of this thing being running.
In the first 2 weeks, I guess I could see that. The speed thing, I totally believe. You can't go fast around them. They're too kind of small and tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like, even if you really opened it up, like, you couldn't get to 40 miles an hour without sliding off the road. It's just too small of a circle to make. As far as accidents go, now I drive it every single day when I go to work, and you almost never see accidents anymore. So if, like you said, the first 2 weeks accidents increased by 3,000%, okay, you know, they're kind of a complicated system until you get to know them. But now I almost, like I said, I almost never see an accident on there.
Mike loves roundabouts now. He's a convert.
I like the idea of roundabouts, and like I said, 20 years from now, when everybody knows them, they're going to be the way to go. I didn't like being part of the experiment to learn them, but
something to tell your kids one day, though. Oh, kids, I was in the great roundabout experience or experiment of 2000.
I was beta testing for DayZ and Roundabouts in America.
Yeah, right. I literally have seen, like, there's these big, like, center islands, you know, in the middle of the circle. They're just concrete. I've seen a couple cars pulled up on there because they didn't know what they were doing.
They were just like, stop.
Get out of traffic. Like, I literally saw, and I kind of felt bad for this guy, but he was an older guy, you know, 70, 80, something like that. He was driving the wrong way, like, around the circle, like, you know, headlong into traffic. Like, I've seen people just give up and stop, like, park in the middle of the road. It's crazy.
Well, then they finally made in that area. They finally make it through one, and then they're like, "Oh my God, thank God, another one!" No,
right? Exactly.
They're literally 3 in a row. Like one dumps into the next one. It's like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, 2 of them are like literally connected. And then you kind of go over a bridge, and there's the third one.
I know it's sort of new, so it might be harder for older people. But in a way, I think it should be easier. When I was helping my grandfather, he was remarried to this woman named Helen, and whenever I drove her, she was really nervous whenever I took a left turn, right, at an intersection.
Left, right.
Yeah, right. It's hard for me because I have to switch it because I'm from Japan to America. But I'm taking a left turn, and she would freak out because, you know, I have to cross the intersection and there's cars coming, and usually not when I'm crossing. But for her, she says when she needs to take a left, she'll go and take 3 rights. She'll just take 3 rights, and that would be her left. And that's basically what a roundabout is, isn't it?
Sort of,
essentially,
in a way.
But you actually make left curves on the roundabout usually, right?
Yeah, I don't know which
direction.
3 lefts.
Yeah.
3 lefts. Yeah, to make a right, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, same principle, just a lot smaller scale, I suppose.
Oh, roundabouts! Who doesn't love those things, or hates them like I do with a passion?
Now those big ones get interesting.
Well,
like,
yeah.
How big are you talking?
So oh God, let's see. It's probably 40, 50 yards across. I mean, like huge islands and statues usually in the middle, and a park for people to go like.
I've driven something similar to that. I can't remember where I was at the time. Maybe, I don't know, probably North Carolina or something, but those, I feel, they almost act like a normal road. Like if they're big enough.
They have intersections and things like that and stoplights.
So I feel like those would be easier.
Well, they're easier, except you have to know exactly which lane to be in. Not only because you think, like, look, a roundabout, there's only like 2 or 3 lanes you could be in. No, one of them has 2 inner lanes, a median, and 2 outer lanes. And you would think if you need to get out of this roundabout, you're going to be in the outer lane because that's how you dump out. Oh, but no. To get to the 2 main roads, you have to wait at a stop sign or a stoplight for it to turn. Then you have to go into the inner lane. You get halfway around the circle, you hit another stoplight, and then you have to cross the outer lane traffic, and you dump out because now you have the right of way. But from the outer lane, you're not allowed to make a right turn. So you literally would be right next to it, and he's able to turn right, which I have done many times anyway, because I was in the wrong lane. But you're not supposed to make a right turn out of there. You're supposed to be in the inner lane and cross the outer lane traffic, because that's where the lane goes. And it's just like, it's the most confusing thing in the world if you don't know. The first couple times I was in it, oh my God, I thought I was going to die because I didn't know what was going on. And then there's so many people walking around DC all the time. Like, there's so many people in and out of the crossing over to get into the little park area in the middle, and of course everybody who's walking assumes they have the right of way against you, despite whether they have the little walk symbol or not. They'll just be like, I'm walking here, and you'll be like, yeah, you got that little red hand that's pointing at you, but yeah, go ahead and walk in front of traffic. You take your risk if you want.
I'm trying to think of the person who designed that park. What we really need to do is design a park where basically cars are driving around in a circle, just basically waiting to kill people trying to get in and out of the park.
Well, I actually, you know what? This is what I was going to say before, what I was getting into about the roads I had forgotten about. You were talking about DC being confusing. I don't know if it was part of the confusing aspect of it, but when we were getting invaded, I believe during the the original war with Britain, they thought that the long years and years and years and years ago,
they hated the roundabouts too.
Well, they had the roads at the time, and they were built in that way that I was talking about with the alphabet and then the single letters and all that stuff.
Right.
They actually turned all the street signs around. They rewrote them and made them backwards because they thought it was too easy for people to find out how to get into the center of the city and know where headquarters of DC was, at the time, for them to come attack. So they changed all the road signs and made them backwards, not just physically backwards, but they redid road signs so a street like Alpha Street would now be AHPLA as opposed to ALPHA. They completely rewrote them backwards so that people didn't know how to easily get into the city. And they actually left one of the street signs the opposite direction, so it doesn't fit in the grid anymore. But it used to be Walnut Street, and it's now Tunlaw Road, which is where I used to actually live because they never changed that one back. But yeah, so you were talking about it being confusing to drive there. They tried to purposely make things confusing, and I wonder if that's part of the reason that the traffic circles came into being. Probably not, but I mean, it could be. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt,
Hello, What Do We Knowers? Mike here. If you like this podcast even a little and would like to help us keep it online, you can help us with that. It's super easy too. All you have to do is go to wdwkpodcast.com, click on the Amazon search widget on the right-hand side of the page, use it to buy the stuff you were already going to buy on Amazon, and we get a fraction of Amazon's profits. It all helps people. Thank you.
Whenever I answer the phone, I'm like, hello.
What pissed you off?
It's a great argument to have.
I love my mom, but I think she's half crazy for doing that.
How dare you?
Do you work with your girlfriend, Mark? Or your wife, Mark?
I keep them separated. Sometimes I call people, they don't answer the phone, I'm like,
wrong number, click.
Well, he's not that smart. Sometimes he sounds like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Go.
Therefore, you're an ass, and I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I still need my time.
Man, I'm such an ass.
For sure.
Only the best.
The typical line.
I'm not really doing this for the money, unless there's a lot of money in there, and then I was like, give me my share.
I didn't buy that.
Bloop, 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 bloop.
Don't let your wife see this.
Facebook annoys the hell out of me.
Classy.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's ridiculously easy when you put your mind to it.
You'll need it when you see the student loans.
I can see that.
Let me say a couple things.
News, yeah, news.
Kind of commented on that to both of you before.
Guys I play with.
Guys you play with. Hot water firm baby.
Hot just on my crotch.
Good times. Wow.
Vetoed.
By the way, are we recording?